See ya.
Oh no, bye Jay! Thanks for joining us!
He's
All right,
out
welcome
there.
back everyone. Welcome to part 2, where we're building Murder Manor. And we're going to get back to scripting. We got up too late here. We got Euphoria. Galactic will be here momentarily. Sensei Jay has just disappeared. That's okay. So Galactic, you should be able to join us now. The first thing I wanted to start us off with was the ultimatum that we're deleting this drop-in shoot. What an idea, but we really don't need it. Yeah, so goodbye, little shoot. It was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed making that, because I know I did. We'll delete the low gravity tube script since we're not using it anymore. If I was a regular creator, I would recommend saving that as an asset before deleting it, but you know, you don't have to. I would also quickly say that if you are writing a bunch of basic scripts, it's actually very useful to write them over and over and over again, as it makes it a lot easier to learn. Yeah, so welcome in, Galactic! Woo, great to have you here. This is her first time into the series. I guess Sensei Jay made a casual appearance, so that was cool. And today, we're going to work on the next steps. So to kind of recap what we did yesterday, is we started by making a game loop manager, which is the timer that clicks through and starts the game up. It also has like a load in time so you can join in. There's the player manager, which tracks when players enter this little like loading zone. And then if they exit, then they are not in the game. And then we had the teleport manager. So when the game started, we said game loop sent to the player manager, game started, player manager sent the players to the teleport manager sent the players off to their teleport zones and assigned and then the player manager had assigned people as their specific roles. So that was where we stopped yesterday. We do want to complete the game loop. And so we're going to work on that today, which means we need to track if players have been eliminated. And when we do have no players that are innocent left, or we have no murderers left, or the time runs out. So we have 3 scenarios that end the game. And we also can have innocents escape from the house. So we have lots of different scenarios to end the game. We need to kind of like plan and prepare for all of those. But the thing that I think we should do next is select our entire little starting area here and check out this front. I know we took a look at this yesterday, but it is looking nice. So Galactic and Euphoria have been off in Blender working on a model for this. How has that been going, you guys?
It's
pretty good so far.
It's going all right. Yeah.
Yeah. What are the
Got a
biggest
decent chunk done
difficulties
today.
going from Horizon to building in something like Blender where it's not like 3-dimensional?
Oh man, probably the sizing. It probably took us about an hour just to get
Yeah, scaling
like
everything.
well, and then like not an hour, but like because we kept coming back in and out and be like, okay, is this balcony too big? Is it too tall?
Yeah.
You know.
Makes sense. Very cool. Well, we look forward to seeing the final project of what you guys are working on. Now, we are going to create an area that you can load into. And I think that we want to do is make sure that you're on the steps. So I think the load-in area where we're going to count it as you're in the game is right here. So as long as you are up here on this sort of like step area, as soon as you walk away, you'll be out of the game. But if you are in this area, you're in the game and you'll be loaded in. So this is our new load in zone, which means our spawn in zone is going to be right here. I'd love to make it so there's like an entrance where these gates open up to kind of give people like a grand entrance feeling. And then when you get spawned back into the world, we'll teleport you out here. And for the time being, since we have a couple different types of teleports, Galactic or Euphoria, or I guess we'll go Euphoria since he knows what I'm talking about and Galactic's brand new. Euphoria, can you create a text in the sky that says sheriff spawn point, murder spawn point, and then innocent spawn points, and move the relevant spawn points to each of those text blocks? Thank you very much. So that way we don't get that confused. Now we're going to also create sort of a driveway out here. Now to animate these, we should probably just start right there. So kind of going back to what I said yesterday, I really love thinking about like what is the first user experience. And so one of the things that we haven't done is made any sort of doors that open. And so since we're going to teleport players into the world, what I'd kind of like to happen is we won't open these doors up, because the idea about the facade here of the front of the house is that no one can get out of the house via windows or doors, the only way to escape is on this side. There will be locks that you have to unlock. So there'll be a bunch of padlocks on this door. And then once you've opened that, you will have been able to escape. And maybe we'll have the doors actually open up at that point. You can walk out. We could potentially even use this trigger again to track that. Maybe, probably not. We'll discuss that when we get to that point. But again, let's go ahead and start with a kind of chronological experience and make it so that the front gate opens as we enter this space. So, and we also have this text here that shows when the next game is starting. So we should put that over here on the front of the door. There we go. Nice. Oops, undo. Oop, undo. Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. There we go, fixed it. Whoop. There it is. Maybe drag that up a little bit. Okay, so now we got our next game timer in location. Anything else back here we needed to keep? I don't think so. I think these were all just basic building blocks. Now for our scripting corner, we're going to keep this right here at the front gate, as I think that's kind of a nice place for it. We'll put that right about there and slide that up. All right. Nice. Great job. Thank you, Euphoria. That looks great. We're going to go ahead and quickly color code this. So we'll go and say that the innocent are the dark blue. Now that's even harder to read. We'll go light blue. And then murder is our dark red or bright red. Kind of like dark red is easier to read. And then our detective will be the green for our good guy, which is hard to read as well. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. So very nice. And then when we're done and we've actually got our model brought in, we can actually test that out. And I did want to quickly double check that these are the right ones. Sheriff spawn point, murderer spawn point. Fantastic. Okay. Whew. And up here, I see a couple blocks I forgot to delete, so we'll quickly delete that. Keep this place nice and clean. You'll remember that we can have these two blocks here for our different days environments, and we can quickly switch back and forth between our night scene and our day scene. And so in a moment, we'll be able to see what this looks like at night. And I think it's coming along quite nicely. It might be nice to actually put in a couple like little torches in here. Do we want to put in maybe like a little lantern here that kind of adds a little light at the entrance, maybe on the left and right side? Just a little ambiance that will add to the space. But for the most part, we do want to keep it quite dark. And while we have them work on adding a couple lights, I'm going to get to work on our sliding door. Now, if you go into your asset library, do we have one in the asset library for DOOR? I don't think so. I think doors in the asset library. But if you happen to have access to the super duper old Vidyuu assets, there is one in there that opens up. But if you don't, we'll go ahead and write that script right now. Let's go to our gizmos, pull out a script gizmo. And to think about this gate opening, we know that we want the gates to open in unison when a trigger is entered. So we'll go ahead and pull out a trigger zone. There we go. Like that. And so you'll enter the trigger, and when you exit the trigger, we'll close it. So right around here, we can close. And then we also want to look at what in the world is this? This is a non-visible cube, I imagine. And it is, so we'll turn that off. So this is supposed to be our collider. And so what we're going to do is build two we're not even going to worry about it because these are going to be completely replaced later on. And these are collidable. Yeah, okay, good. So let's go ahead and group this together. And I'm going to put my head in the trigger so that when I drag through, I don't accidentally select the trigger. Now, if you do accidentally select the trigger, you can just click outside of the selection zone, drag through to deselect. We'll then go ahead and group this together by thumbsticking to the left and slide up, and voila. Now we can delete this one and just duplicate that over, head in the trigger again, and selected. Oh, what did I accidentally select? Ah, the floor. And delete. There we go. Okay. Now, before we duplicate this, we do need this to rotate around an axis right about here. So I'm going to duplicate this up and then open this up and zoom in and select this piece here, zoom out, deselect, select, and delete. And this represents the width. And we want it to rotate around this point here. So if I select this, dragging and snapping it to right there, it should now rotate around this pillar here. And then we can turn off visibility. We can turn off collidability and all of these here. And then we'll open up the properties panel and drag this down to about the same spot. And then so it doesn't flicker, we'll scale it to there. Select, click the zoom in button, click one time to let go, zoom out. And now we can imagine the gate opening by rotating this and seeing what that looks like. And that looks fantastic. So that is how our gate's going to open. We'll then go ahead and duplicate and rotate 180 degrees and then snap that right to there. And now our gate's looking pretty good. I'm a little shocked to see that it's not centered. So we might have some work to do on getting that to be just perfect, which won't be too difficult. So we'll select both of these. Is that snapped up nicely? I think it is. Yeah. Then we'll select both of these. And since they're both centered, we should be able to grab this, center it back here. And we have snapping turned on. Perfect. And then slide forward. There we go. And now those are even. And now with that, we want to take this back so it looks right. And I also want to space them apart just a little bit. I'm also noticing that the design on one side is different than the design on the other, which I didn't realize until just now. So what we can do instead is delete. And since these are, since these have been done the same size, we can now duplicate. We can then zoom in, select this one, scale it to snap here. This will reappear in a second. There we go. And deselect, zoom out, and then slide that right here and snap. There we go. And then the question is just how much space do we want to give that? And I would recommend measuring it so that it's exactly the same amount of space. Selecting one of these, we can then scale it to there. Perfect. And scaling to there. Now we've got a nice tiny little gap right through the center, coming down in person. This looks fantastic. Now, for scripting, we're going to keep this relatively simple. I am noticing I forgot to scale this guy, which is going to cause a little bit of issue, but we'll get to it. Which is to put it there. And we'll do the same over here. Oop. And then this one needs to be scaled as well. And one more time. Okay, fantastic. Now, to script this, we need to have a reference for both. We're going to run the script on this trigger, since the trigger is where the kind of brains is going to happen for our script here. And I'm going to scale it up a little bit. Doesn't need to be super tall. And we're going to go into the script. Yep. And give it a good name. So what should we name this? Up to think gate, front gate. And what we need to know is some origin rotations. So we're going to create a new rotation variable called origin rotation. Press confirm. Now these both should have the same origin rotation. So if we check the attributes tab, we'll see it's 0, 90, 0. If we check this one, it is also 0, 90, 0. Now when we rotate them, they're rotating the opposite direction. So they're going to rotate to 180, so 90 degrees on the y-axis. But they're going to, this one will be actually the opposite. So this one should be 0. If we look at it, attributes. Yeah, so this one goes to 0, that one goes to 180. And we'll show you how to do that in just a second. So we could type it in here and just type in 90. Technically, that works for getting our origin rotation, but I recommend scripting it. So in case we move this, it'll work. So when world is started, we're going to set our origin rotation to be a rotation of object. And then we need object references. Great job up to. Gate 1 is in. We'll also need a gate 2, which I'm assuming will be there any second. So we'll get the rotation of gate 1. And now that we've saved that, we then will need to know about how much to rotate by. And so we'll create a new a new rotation called rotate by. Rotate by, and confirm. And this we know to be 90 degrees. And so if we think of gate 1 being the one on the left, gate 2 being the one on the right, we know that for gate 1, we need to subtract 90, and for gate 2, we need to add 90. So just to demonstrate that it works, we'll go to the Motion tab. We'll grab Rotate 2 over time, and we're going to duplicate this. We're going to rotate gate 1 and gate 2, so replace self with gate 1 and 2 here. And then the rotation amount is going to be the plus symbol and the minus symbol. So we'll grab minus for the top and plus for the bottom. And then we're going to grab origin rotation to go on the left side of both of these. And then we'll grab the rotate by to put onto the right side of both of these. And what we should see happen is on world start, these should rotate to their open position. So we'll go clear, hit play. And we forgot to reference them. I do this almost every single time. I'm so silly. Opening the trigger, we'll attach the front gate script and then reference these little guys. By the way, if you press forward on your thumbstick, it will bring the property panel to you. There we go, that's gate 1. And so you see how I press forward and hold, and it brought it right towards me. And gate 2 is in. There we go. So now if we press play, hey, exactly, that's perfect. So what we'll also need is a sound effect for these. So if somebody wanted to pull out a sound effect, that would be fantastic. For a big ol' creaky, spooky gate, that would be fantastic. And let's see, origin rotation gate 1 to 2. So now what we should do is think about this as having a couple different states. So there's the state when it is open, and there's the state when it is closed. To think about this a little bit, in terms of like what's happening, we're going to cause some state to change, and we're going to cause some state to change back. So we're going to create an event called open gate. So new event called open gate, and press confirm. And then we're going to duplicate this and create one called close gate. And then we're going to fill out the appropriate motion just to get this functioning. So we'll grab the gate 1 rotate 2 and gate 2 rotate 2, and putting that in there, we're going to then get our opening gate. We can then duplicate this into the close gate. And what we need to remember is that the origin rotation is where we're going back to. So we'll replace the minus and plus with the origin rotation amount that we saved. Now the time we want to be able to change dynamically. So we're going to create a new variable called open time. Press confirm, and then we'll also create another number variable called close time. Now, while we're creating variables, I'd like to also create a sound effect. So we'll create a new object variable for the creak open sound effects. Press confirm. I think I spelled creak wrong. C-R-E-A-K, or is it C-R-E-E-K? I'm not sure. Then we're also going to do one called slam close sound effect. So we'll have kind of a rattling, startling closing sound. And then our close time we'll keep at 1 second, and our open time we'll do at 2 seconds. So it's going to, and then it'll go. So those are the kind of like sound effects we'll be looking for. So then we can take our close time. We'll adjust these later as needed, but fortunately we only have to do it in one spot, and then open time goes up there. Thanks, up to. So now that we have our opening and closing, we need to define when does this happen. And so there's an easy way to do this. As we did yesterday, we did when triggers entered, when triggers exited. But what if there are multiple players in here? Well, there's a special event that you can get access to that allows you to have multiple players in and only happen one time. So if we go into our events tab and we grab when event is received and drop that up here, there is an event called when occupied, which means when a trigger is occupied for the first time, this goes off. So we create a new parameter because this has to be received with a player ID. And we'll call this player, and then we'll press confirm. Now when occupied is received with a player, we can then do the opening of the gate. So we'll go grab send event to object called open gate. There we go. And then we'll duplicate this here. And then when occupied is the opposite, which is empty, when empty is received with a player, we then send not open gate, but close gate. So we'll drop down and find our close gate. There it is. And now those are going to happen. The only thing we're missing is the playing of the sound effect. So we'll go Actions tab, grab the play sound, dropping it here. I'm sticking the right to duplicate into both places. And then back on our variables tab, grabbing our creak open sound effect and our slam close sound effect. Fantastic. Okay, so we'll close the script. Coming down to our trigger, we'll need to tie some stuff in. And the big thing we need to tie in is our sound effects. Did we get some good ones? Ooh, it looks like we do. Let's try them out. So we got our metal door close. This sounds good. Ooh. we could make it better. I will come back. We can make it louder first and foremost. That's a good open. Okay. Boom, boom. But then we need it to happen 1 second later. So we go, maybe delay it with some bait by pitching it down, which makes it more bassy. So that makes it sound a little bit longer. One. Kind of imagine that happening one time and over 1 second, excuse me. And so this is our large door creak, which will take 2 seconds. So we'll increase the volume and we'll pitch it up and then hit play. 1, 2, 1, 2. So a little bit higher. Stop that again. 1, 2. A little bit too high pitched though. 1, 2. Okay, that could work. So now with those referenced in, we've got those sound pills have been referenced. Thank you again, up to. Appreciate you. We can now go ahead and hit play and try these out. We do want to make sure that they are in the right place for the sound effect to go off. So we're going to move these to be right above the gate so that the sound makes sense. In fact, I'd actually move these below down to the base of the gate. And then we'll put this one right there on top of it so that they all sound like they're coming from the bottom area. Oops. Try again. There we go. And now going to hit play. I'm also going to hit stop and then play again because I've had some trouble with triggers recently. Now coming into the world, we can try walking in. So first person goes in. And now it's not closing even though she's exited. So we can all come in and it's not going to make another noise until we all exit. So yeah, works great. And I love that you can kind of run through the gate at the same time. Wait, what? Why can't I run through the gate? I thought I could jump through. Are you guys able to jump through? Yeah. Oh yeah, you can totally jump through. Why can't I jump through? All of you can jump through.
You're not allowed.
I'm not allowed to jump through. No. Okay. Weird Horizon bugs, y'all. But no, this is good. The sound effects I think could be better, but I don't think they're high priority, so we'll come back to that one later. But I would love for a more metal sounding sound effect and a more timing could also be better by adjusting the pitch. We could change the timing in the script to also change that as well. So all of that is a great start. So we got our front gate, and we'll go ahead and move this script to be right here at the front of our stack. It's because we're thinking this chronological order. And let's go into our game loop manager and check that timer. I know I'd set it to like 10 seconds something last time. So it's starting at 7, so we could test. We're going to put that back to 61. And now we'll hit play. Stop, play. And I'm going to imagine coming in as a player for the first time. I've just arrived, launched the world myself. I walk in, I walk forward. Next game, 53, 52. And I can stand here and kind of wait. And then when it says join now, we should probably change the text from join now to something that makes more sense, like ready up, stand here, right? Something like that. And then I kind of I'd like to have people teleported in earlier. So that way, if people see the people on the stairs disappear, they're like, oh snap, I need to get in. So I'm thinking for the first like 10 seconds of the game or something like that, we allow people to walk in and just become innocent. So let's look at how we could make that happen. So if we go into the player manager right here, and we'll remember that the player manager is running on the trigger in the lobby. In fact, we forgot to do this for the front gate. So I'm going to go quickly do this for the front gate because I think that is super useful, is to have these comments at the top telling you where your script is running on or what it's running on. So we'll say front gate and running on gate trigger. There we go. And then we'll go into the player manager and we'll see that the question here is when the game started is received, we set if the length of players is greater than or equal to minimum players to start the game, we set self-detection to false. Let's not set self-detection to false yet. Let's instead add a new Boolean into our variables tab, and this Boolean is going to be called game started. Okay. So the game started, we'll click confirm. And then when the game start event is received, we set it to be true. So we'll say when game started is received, we're going to set the game started Boolean value to true. And then what this does is it allows us to know that the game has started. So we don't have to set self-detection to false, but we do need to set self-detection to false at some point. And so we're going to create a new event down here at the bottom called last call. And we'll click confirm. And then in this last call event is when we set self-detection to false. And so we're going to then send event with delay called last call to self after 30 seconds. And when that happens, that is going to set self-detection to false, which will so it's going to set self-detection to false, which will make it impossible for players to join the game. And so now we need to use this game started value to kind of make sure that players who do join the game after the game has started have been teleported in as an innocent. So we go up to when trigger is entered by player, we add player to the players in game list, and we send show pop-up. But in this case, we don't need to send a pop-up. So we're going to add an if statement. We're going to say if game is started, and then we're going to add them to the list no matter what. We're going to send show pop-up if the game is not started. So we'll actually create a else statement here. And so if the game has not started, we will show the pop-up. But if it has started, what we need to do is immediately teleport the player in. And so on our, we are currently sending teleport players to teleport manager. Let's create another variation of this. And I'm going to do something that I probably would have advised against a long time ago, and then I'll tell you why I'm way more okay with it today than I used to be. So we're going to send teleport players to the teleport manager with the player. Now, in this case, we are sending it with different parameters. Normally, we have 3 parameters, and 2 of those are player lists, and the first one is a player. But because we're sending it with a single player, this will not get received by the original event. It will be received in a different event, and I'll show you that in just a second. When trigger is entered by player, send teleport players to teleport manager. Now, the pop-up length we found was like 1 second too slow. I think we finished this script here. I did want to quickly fix the pop-up on the game loop manager before I forget, because when the pop-up is shown, we want to add 1 second to it. So it said show pop-up with clock. We're going to add 1 to the clock. So we'll go grab the plus symbol and grab clock plus 1. And that will hopefully give us a better timed pop-up. There we go. And then the next thing we want to do is go to our teleport manager. And on the teleport manager, I'm going to quickly press forward to reset the position. On the teleport manager, I'm probably getting really tiny, huh? I'll scale myself a little bigger. So we are going to now have teleport players received with none of these. And so this comes in as a separate event. And so the reason I'm way more okay with this is I've been creating my own custom functions in C#. And that's kind of like what these are. They're custom methods, method, function, event, kind of all the same word. And so, although there's a lot of differences, so you can fight me on it later, but in terms of Horizon, they kind of all mean the same thing because we use events in here, and those are very similar to methods and functions. And so in something like C#, you can have, say, what are called overloads, and each of these is like an overload. And what that means is they have different parameters, and because they have a different parameter, they handle the event differently. So in the case that a teleport player is received with a single player value, we know that this means that the game has started and we want to assign them to be innocent only. So we're going to go ahead and call this person an innocent since this event is receiving only innocents. And we'll click confirm. And what do we want to do with them? Well, we want to teleport them to an innocent spawn point. We can then run an if statement, and we're going to put that into here. And the if statement is going to check if there are positions left in that while loop we previously ran. So up here we had this while loop. So I'm actually going to duplicate. Is this the right one? Yeah, this is the right one. I'm going to duplicate this right to below the if. And this while loop, you'll remember, was checking the length of our duplicated innocent player list. And so if that is still greater than, oh, this was our length of players. We actually want to check the length of our spawn positions right here. And so if the temporary, so our iterative list of innocent spawn positions is greater than 0, meaning there is at least one spawn position, we then want to teleport the player to one of those spawn positions. And so we do that right here. So we're going to delete this could go in. I think we're going to need that there, which goes, yeah, that's fine. Okay, so when this if statement is true, we're going to set the length of I in O. We can actually set that outside of this if statement and then use I length in here as well, since we're going to use it in 2 places. So we've set I length here. We've used I length to determine if it's greater than 0. Then we set this current spawn position to be an item between 0 and the length of the list of spawn positions. And then we get that spawn position from that list. And then we can respawn not this player we were calculating prior, but the innocent player that's come into our teleport player event to the iSpawn position. We then need to remove that spawn position from that list. And we want to remove the player, but they aren't in that list actually. So we'll go ahead and delete that and delete that. And like that, we now have a way for people to join after the first 30 seconds and still get in if they missed the cutoff time. So that should be pretty nice. Okie doke. We'll want to test that here in a second, but I think the next thing we want to do is look at our player manager because the text is a little different. So we'd originally said, where is it? I'm in the wrong script. Sorry. Player manager. Nope. We're going to the game loop manager. My apologies. So in the game loop manager, we'd originally had the text displayed here. It says game starting in for the pop-up, which is great. And now it says join now. It should probably say something like ready up or stand here. So next game, and it will say, in fact, I'm going to actually duplicate this. We'll come back to that in a second. We're going to say prepare it's game starting, right? So it should say game starting. That makes sense. Game starting in, and then we'll remove the colon and add a space, or no, it's a break. Yeah, so it's 2 lines. So we'll actually move game starting and then put the in right below it. Game starting in space break. So that makes sense. I think during that 30-second phase, we should have the join now displayed. We know that there's a 30-second phase because of another script, which isn't helpful. So what we were doing was checking if it was is ready up, doing game starting in, or now we're going to do in this else statement an else if, which will go before the else, which is going to check some condition to say that you can join now. And so the condition we know to be the duration. So we're going to click a new number variable called join now duration. We're going to set this to be 30 seconds. And then we can send this information out to our player manager so that its time that it's sending is based off of this value. So if we change it here, it changes in both places. But what we're going to do here is use an if statement and check if the greater than symbol, why is that? There it goes. We're going to check if the clock time, so we'll go grab our clock. If clock is greater than game length minus join now duration. So we go minus, and we grab game length, minus join now duration. We then show the join now text, which will then be added to the clock. I think there's a query here if we want to show the clock the same. And so that's a good question. We could show the clock differently, like a countdown of the 30 seconds. And so instead of showing the clock as string, we could say, let's set, oh, sorry, delete this. There will be a better way to do this. My hands are not working. Not sure why. All right, y'all, we are back. Let's get a better intro than that because I say that every single time I cut the video. My hands, they're back. I mean, those don't look like hands, but there they are. Okay, back into build mode. Check it out, guys. We are going to finish this up real nice. And Up Too Late is no longer muted. Turns out she was accidentally muted, so.
Yay.
Okay, good. I was like, no, not again. All right. So where we left off was we were creating different text based on what the thing was. And so for now, I've made it so that we're using the display me in two places rather than having it at the end. It'd be better to create like a Boolean value that's just like, when this situation is true, do that. So we'll change it up later. But for now, this is going to work. And so what we're going to do is say, if this is the case, we're going to display a different time. And excuse me, I just drank water and it's like, woo. So instead of displaying the clock time, we're actually going to display the clock minus game length, absolute value of that, right? No, how do we get to 30 seconds? We want a 30-second countdown based off the clock. And so it starts at 1 as a difference. Oh, so we need to add join now duration. Okay, I think we can do this. Okay, so we need to calculate it by taking something that is larger. And then I think the last step is we subtract. Do we subtract? Yeah, so the last step is we're going to subtract the game length. We're going to subtract the game length from plus join now duration. So we take, that doesn't make sense. Then it would just be the join now duration. No, we take the clock time, not the game length. We take the clock plus join now duration minus game length will return a counter that actually counts down. Okay, that should work to give us a correct time during the join now phase. And then the last thing that I wanted to do was a suggestion that Up Too Late had, which was to show a pop-up when the game fails. So here we have our start failed. And so we want to tell players, hey, sorry, game's not ready yet. And so what we're going to do then is show a pop-up to the players who are in the list. And we can do that using the while loop we were pretty used to yesterday. So we're going to create a while loop. We sent timer loop to self. We said is ready up phase. So in this start fail, we need to know the current players. We're going to create a plid list called waiting players, waiting. There we go. And press confirm. And so when start failed is received with players waiting, we're going to run through a loop of players. We're going to do the same thing we did before, where we set a list of I players. So we'll create player list called I players. Confirm. And then we're going to set I players to be a copy of the players waiting list. We need to make sure to have that players waiting list sent over from the player manager during the start failed event. And then we're going to create a greater than symbol in our while loop that says while the length of I players is greater than 0, scrolling back down to length of I players greater than 0. I've got a 1 here. I'll make that a 0. Perfect. And then what we're going to do is for each player in the list, we're going to show them a pop-up and remove them from the list. So we have under our list here, remove item at index. We're going to remove item at index 0 from the list of I players. And we're also going to show them a pop-up. So we're going to go to Actions tab, and we're going to show pop-up for player. Show pop-up for player. Perfect. we actually have a pop-up down here that's already formatted correctly. So I'm actually going to duplicate that right to here. And the player is not player. It is going to be operators get item from list. And it's going to be the item at index 0 from the iPlayers list. And then we need to create a text for that. The duration is not necessary for this. So we do want to create some amount of time. We're going to just say something like 3 seconds is probably plenty. And then the position was fine, the font size was fine, all of this was good. We're going to turn off showing the timer. We will keep playing the sound, and then the text is going to say game start. Oh, you know what? Interesting note here is that the pop-up will not show again until they enter and exit the trigger. So that is actually maybe a reason to add the ready up time as the timer. So we had previously say game starting in. So let's actually consider keeping that. Let's consider keeping the clock time +1 that we had before for this. Put the clock back on. And we just need to show them a pop-up that says start failed. Start space failed. Break. Break. And then it'll put in parentheses not enough players. And then we want to put in another double break. So we'll put a break and then another break. This is going to be a super large text box, unfortunately. But if you walk in and out, it'll disappear. So to test it out, let's go and change our world start time to 11 seconds. I might leave it like that during our entire phase. I keep changing it back, but we've never used it like that. And in Player Manager, you'll remember that we need to send the event with the list of players. So when we say start failed, we need to send the current list of players in game. And let's go try this out. So clear, play. And here we go. Nice. Really nice. Next game in 2, 1, 0. Game starting in 30 seconds. Very nice. We can just walk over here, disappears, walking back, reappears. Very nice. Love that. Nice little lights coming into play here. Totally gray box. I think we have a little too many there, Euphoria. I'd like to remove these 4 in the little courtyard area and just keep 2 on the outside of the gate. So 2 in here and then 2 on the outside. Sweet. But yeah, those ones are good. Oh, no, that was good. So this one over here is good, and this one over here is good, but those 2 by the gate, I'd say move to the outside of the gate. Yeah, sweet. Start failed, not enough players. Game starting in, and then the timer's in a weird spot. Start failed, not enough players. Game starting in, colon. There might be a better way to do this. I've got an idea on how we can make this better. And then when you come back in, it fixes it. Game starting in 5. And then we'll get the pop-up. I want to watch it this time because that didn't make sense. Game starting in 0. Start failed, not enough players. Okay. Interesting how the timer there, now that we can see it, isn't in check. And we don't actually need the timer anymore, do we? Because we don't need this pop-up anymore because we can see the timer if we're looking right here. Okay, so we're actually just going to say, let's remove the pop-up. That seems fair. But we do need the pop-up to tell them that it failed. And the pop-up, then that was the only problem with it. So let's go into our player manager, game loop manager. Okay, game loop manager. And we're going to go to our show pop-up 4. We're going to change the duration to 3 seconds. And then we'll say game start failed, delete all this game starting in, delete the breaks. So now we just got the 2 lines of text there. We can delete the show timer. That can be turned off. And that should work great. So then the thing that we don't need now is the show pop-up. And we can keep this code here if we wanted to. I'm going to delete it since we have a pop-up here. But I'm pretty confident we're not going to need this. So we could leave it there and just not use it by going into our player manager and deleting the line of code that causes this to send start failed. Oh, what did I do wrong? I made a mistake. No, I didn't. what I wanted to delete wasn't start. I wanted to delete the part where when trigger is exited, we show pop up, and when trigger is entered, we show pop up. So we can delete this and that. Okie doke. Cool. Yes, up to?
Question.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure the reason why I'm not able to make this grabbable is because I need something collidable on it. But those shapes are not collidable. I just realized that was the problem. Can I
They're
throw
not?
a collider in there so that I can make it?
It's collidable to me.
Like you can grab it?
You have to set it to interactive grabbable.
Well, okay, yeah, obviously. Sorry, my bad.
I'm so sorry, you guys. Up too late. This is her first day in Horizon.
Shut up. I'm like, why does it work? Why can't I get grab points? I don't understand. I'm like, oh, maybe it's because okay.
Oh, it's too funny. No, you're good.
Oh. Okay.
Hey, do you guys mind if I turn the lights on so I can see a little bit better?
Yeah, go for it.
Script assigned, or should we just wait till later to do that? We can mess around with it.
Oh yeah, we'll mess around with that later. Let's keep it all just generic.
Okay. Right.
So we're building a generic gun over here, y'all. So this is going to launch projectile when player presses index trigger. Oh, Galactic, can you click undo, please?
Yes.
We have a thing for that. You just go to this one and click active, and it makes it daylight.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, and then when you want to make it night mode again, you just go to that one and turn it active. It's all good. In fact, I think we're going to shrink these up a little bit and put them by our script area, since this one is for daylight and nighttime is the bottom, because of course it is. Now we'll scale that down. Fantastic. Okie doke. So why are we working on guns next? Because we need a knife that we can stab people with so that we can end the game. We also need to create a way to escape. So there's so many different win scenarios. I think we need to quickly first test that everything works correctly. So let's go ahead and make sure that all the things are working. Can I have everybody go into build or play mode? Don't shoot me, I'm sending out hearts. No, you shot my heart.
Gun.
Yes. All right, so we walked in, very nice. Game starting in 25 seconds. 24.
Get a pop-up.
Maybe we should bring the pop-up back, but instead it says you're readying up or something. You've joined the queue or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll bring back the pop-up. Let me go undo a bunch of code I just deleted. Whoops. But anyway, one of us should be outside of this area, so I guess it'll be me. You guys stay in. And you guys should get teleported in, and then I'll come in and I'll be an innocent. So I spawned in the innocent section. You guys spawn in your relevant spots. Galactic's all over the place, so I have no idea where she spawned.
I think she was right here.
But it does look like it worked well, so that's the good news. And now it says join now phase is still 10 seconds in. I didn't think about players like glitching their way through and potentially like jumping into this trigger. But it's not teleporting me or you guys. So that seems like it's working okay. And I forgot to send the number through. Let's go fix a bunch of bugs. Okay. So bug number 1 is on the player manager. Let's hit undo and bring back the code to send a pop-up. Silly goose. Me. Oh, why is it not undoing? Did I make some changes somewhere else? What was the last thing I did in this video right before we left? I need to remember what my last change was. Oh, I was working on the lighting. Oh, and I moved the lights over to here. Okay, we're probably safe. I was probably just moving these lights around. Yeah, okay, they're selecting that. Okay, we're good. And breathe. So we'll just quickly bring back the pop-up event here, which we remember was an else, and then we sent an event to display a pop-up. So it was send event called show pop-up, which is probably not in here now that we've deleted it. So we'll go right. Show pop-up. Pop-up. Press confirm. We send that to the timer manager. Game loop manager, excuse me, with the current player. And that should work great. We're then going to need to bring that back in the game loop manager. So here at the bottom, we're going to say when event is received, called show pop-up. received with a player. And PLAYER, confirm. We're then going to duplicate the show pop-up from above, except for not showing it to a list of players. We're just showing it to this player. Instead of saying not enough players, we're going to say you're in the queue, or we'll say added to queue. Added to queue. And to make this really nice and like fun and personalized, I'm going to duplicate this, delete this, go and grab a plus symbol from the top here. And then we're going to put the added to queue on the right side. We're going to put a break at the front of the added to queue, so it's 2 lines. And then it'll say the player's name at the top. So it'll say name of player. So you go to operators tab down under player. You'll see the name of player. And that will say something like Lakes05, you've been added to queue. Or Lakes05 added to queue. I think we'll keep it shorter. Lakes05 added to queue. That seems good. For 3 seconds, position's good. All that's good. So that's our pop-up. Now, the next bug is that we need the game loop manager to send a value, which is the length of the delay. So to our player manager. Right now, we just have it typed in as 30 seconds. So we're going to create a new number variable called the last call duration, and we'll set the default to 30 seconds and then drag that into here. And then we need to receive this event. So we'll call this event set last call time, setup last call time, and then press confirm. That's going to be received with a number variable called value. Kind of makes sense. Or we could call it duration, might make even more sense. Duration. Press confirm, and then we're going to set the last call duration to the duration. And then to get this, we now need to send that from our game loop manager. And so we'll go into the top of our game loop manager on world start and send event right here to not self, but to the player manager. And we're going to send that with the value that we have up here, the join now duration. And that will be the parameter, and the event name is last setup last call time. There we go. There we go. So now that is getting passed along. And then the other bug was worrying about the trigger being enterable when the join now phase is in play. I was able to get in after they'd teleported as an innocent, so that seemed to work. What was weird was it didn't let me go in again, which it should have. So when triggers entered by player, it adds player to the players in game list. If the game is started, send teleport players to the teleport manager with the player, and then else send show pop-up. So it should have sent me to the teleport manager. I also forgot to put in an area to turn off game started. So when game started, it was received, set game started to true. And then we know when the last call is received, we need to set game started to false. No, when do we reset? Because the game will be in play for the whole duration of the game. We reset at some point. Let's see, where was that? When ready up is received, we set self-detection to true. So this is where we set self-detection to true. So at this point, we should go and set the Boolean game started to false, because the game has not started now. It's in the ready up phase. And that works there. But this is weird. When triggers exited by player, remove player from the players in game list. Okay, it's done that when we got teleported because the trigger was still active. So we're not really using this to determine much like after the game has started, so that's okay. In fact, I would go down here and go as far as to say when the game is already started, we don't add players to the list and we only teleport them. And if it's not started, we'll add players to the list because we expect all the players to get removed from the list when they get teleported out. And to make sure that the list is cleared, when we send the select players, once we're done with selecting players, actually, are we removing players from the list right here? Remove item current player from players in game. Yeah. So we're removing players anyway. And so the only place that's going to have a full list of the players when we do get to coding it in is going to be the teleport manager. That's going to have the full list of players, which is something we could probably fix in here. That's probably worth fixing in here at some point. So we'll get to that, I guess, because we do want to know who the current values are for sheriff, murders, and stuff, and the player manager should be the one that knows that information. That seems to make sense. Let's see, what else are we doing? 4, 3, 2, and 1. And now we're going to get the 30-second countdown timer. Lakes of 5 added to queue. Nice. Maybe I'll quickly read through the code and see if there's anything that stands out as part of why this isn't working. Yeah, it should have been working. So then on the teleport manager, new innocent spawn position, add spawn position to the innocent spawn position. When teleport players is received with innocent, set I length to length of list. Brain's getting fatigued by all this code, guys. This is rough. Set I spawn position to be a random item from the list. Respawn innocent to spawn position, remove item. And that's only when we have one player. Then when we have a bunch of players, and just to make this more chronological, I'll move this to the top. So when we get our first set of players, we respawn sheriff to the sheriff spawn position, set I murder to murders, respawn them to the spawn position one at a time, and remove them from the list, set I to innocent, and then set the spawn position to be a copy of the spawn position. And then while the length of that is greater than 0, set I length to, oh, you know what I think it is? I think I've solved it. We only have 2 spawn positions. That's what it is. We were supposed to have 12 spawn positions, but we only have 2. Yeah. So when we get down here and we teleport players, we don't have a condition to teleport them. So I meant to put in what I meant to do. No, we're good. Okay. I meant to put in an else statement that chose one at random if we had cleared the list. So it's supposed to say if I length is greater than 0, if I length is not greater than 0, then respond them to a random spot in the list. So we're going to duplicate the set I spawn position, and we're going to move respawn to the bottom. And then what we're going to do is, instead of getting an item from the I length, we're going to get an item from the length of the actual spawn position list. So the master spawn position list right here. And so we say set I spawn position to get item between 0 and length of that spawn list from that spawn list, then respawn player to I spawn position, whether it's the one from the previous calculation or the else calculation. Okay.
It sucks that you had to go all the way from the very beginning just to get all the way.
I know, and I was like,
players.
my brain was fatiguing there. I genuinely was like, how is this bugging out? Everything's good.
Started from the back, eh?
I should have started from the back. You're right. Who knew?
Work your way back. All right.
I know. I'm such a chronological worker, though. It's just like my brain needs it that way. Okay, I've hit play. Let's go test this out again, guys. I'm going to change the timer. So I'm going to hit stop. And then I'm going to change the timers to be a little bit faster. So on our game loop manager, we can change these durations on the game length down to 60 seconds. Yeah, that'll work. This is going to look funky, but that'll work. The ready up time will still be 31 seconds. This will give us just plenty of time to do all the things. I'm going to hit play. All right, come on in, everybody. You should be able to stand here and get the pop-up as soon as the timer ends. So 3, 2, and 1. Pop-up comes in. Lakes of 5 added to queue. Everybody got the queue? Nice. Yeah. Now you should be able to also exit. We need to do a remove from queue pop-up.
Yep.
Because then it looks like you've been added twice. I'm in there twice, guys. I'm going to have so many chances to be the murderer. So yeah, okay, we need that pop-up. The game's starting in 10 seconds. Let's have Up Too Late and Galactic stay out, and then we're gonna have you guys enter to be the innocents. Oh wait, we need one of you in. Sorry, I'm so sorry. We need 3 to start. There we go. We're good. And we're in. Okay, now Up Too Late should come in as an innocent. Nice. And then we should be able to jump down, and the teleport should work to get us back in. Nice. Okay, so you just come in as innocent. Now things are behaving as we expected, even though that's not really what we want to do. The behavior is what we anticipate, which is important to prevent bugs in the future. Join now phase is ending in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Countdown for 30 seconds. So that is working perfect. You can now stand here and wait for the next game to start. So we'll do that. And in this case, I guess we'll do. Let's actually fail it. So who wants to stand in there and watch the fail message? Okay, I'll stand in there and watch the fail message. Me and Galactic, we're gonna see it fail. We can fail it with 2. Yeah, watch us fail. We're gonna fail this real good. 5 seconds till we fail. Oh, the best of failing. 2, 1, and Lake 5 added to queue. Oh wait, I forgot. That was to get into the queue. Wait, what did it say? Did it say game in progress? What did it say? It said game starting. Oh my gosh, we need to change the verbiage. Oh my gosh, we need to change the verbiage. Okay, this is why we test. So now Galactic and I are going to stand here and fail it, and then we'll do the next. We just want to make sure the loops are all working correctly, and then we'll go fix all that. Okay, start failed, not enough players. Now everybody come on in. We'll do everybody at the same time this time. Okay.
Sweet.
Okay, I got to remember the things. So we have 2 things so far. We need a pop-up when you exit the list, and we need to rename the text verbiage so when it says game in progress, so that you're not thinking it's about to start. You're just standing here like, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. No. Okay, game starting in 1. And we're in. Okay, fantastic. 2 innocent, 2 murders, no detective. What the heck? Okay, we're gonna have to solve the detective problem.
You have to, you could put a detective on that.
We're gonna need to put a detective on the case. So getting in, still teleport in. So far, it's pretty close to working good. What the heck with the detective, though?
That is odd.
He kind of quit. He was just like, no.
The detective quit. He didn't want to work. Next game in 30 seconds. Okay, so now you can't get in. Let's go hit stop. So the verbiage of next game, I think, is really good. We're going to go do that, and then I need to be reminded about the pop-up. So game loop manager, we're going to go change the verbiage right down here. So instead of saying game starting or join now, we're going to say next game in, and that's going to look good. So we'll delete the starting portion of this. Oh my goodness. Backspace, and over next space game in. Okay, so that's going to be for that. And instead of saying game starting, and then instead of saying next game, it's going to say game in progress. That seems to make way more sense. Game in progress. And I'm debating moving the progress to the others or to the lower side. We'll try that out first. Okay, and now we need a pop-up for when they're removed from queue. So we're going to create a Boolean parameter that says show pop-up is received with a Boolean called added to queue. Okay, so we've got added to queue as a Boolean parameter, and then we're going to use an if statement to determine what we're showing them. And so it'll say if added to queue, show them the current pop-up, else we'll show them a new pop-up that we'll put in here, duplicate, and then this one will say removed from queue. In fact, I think we can remove the part about the queue and just say removed. So it'll say Lake05 removed, just to keep it even shorter and easier to read. Yeah. I think that'll look really good. And then we need to go into our player manager and utilize that Boolean parameter. And so when we say show pop-up when trigger is entered, we want to add a Boolean that says true right here. And then when they leave, when trigger is exited, it'll say removed, but it will only say removed if the game is not started. So we'll say if not game started, because when you get teleported out, you are in the list. So if We move this into here. Not game started. Okay, so if not game started, send show pop-up to game loop manager with player and false. And then I want to make sure that this happens fast enough. I think game started is set when game started is received, and then yeah, that'll work. Okay, it'll all work. Any other changes I forgot that we should also make? It was the detective question.
I was thinking we do need to put some logic in case say Joe and Bob decide to spawn out, like leave the world in the middle of the game. So just like if players are this list equals whatever, then we
should create a list of conditions that end the game. So to do that, we're going to create a text object and just write in all the conditions that cause the game to end, because there are a lot of them, and those are a couple of really good ones not to forget. So we'll just write this up. Leave world is one way via unlocking front door. So we got detective kills the murderers, innocent dead, timer ends. Conditions that end the game: leave world, escape via unlocking front door, detective kills the murderers, innocent and detective dead, timer ends. Did I miss anything?
What happens if someone coins out?
That's the same thing, I think.
Let's add that to the list, because there is a way to detect that, and in a game like this, it's important to check for that. So that is a good one to catch. Have we really been going for 2 hours, guys?
Yeah.
Holy smokes.
Yeah,
Or almost
4 to 6. Yeah.
I was like worried about the video recording cutting out, because I can usually only go for an hour. I'm a little worried, but I think we're good. Okay, so the last one was player coins. Coins out. Okay. If we come up with any more ideas, we'll add it to this list, and we're going to put this list right up here and nice so we don't forget about it. So definitely some polishing on our current scripts. We've got, I feel like, a much better setup. So let's go ahead and try it out again. That was weird. All right, here we go. So now we should game in progress. 1, 0. Next game in 30. Lakes added to queue. Nice. And if I walk out of this area, lakes 5 removed. Okay. And then if I come back in, lakes added to queue. Nice. So that seems pretty smooth. I'm probably going to be the guy who does this the entire time. Added, removed, added, removed, added, removed, added, removed. I just can't help it. Next game in 7, 6, but we do need to be in here when the timer hits. So let's get 3 of us in here. Okie doke. And so what we want to do is try to play this without any jokes and make sure the detective works 2 maps in a row. So we're going to jump back down. Try not to jump on the stairs when you're going down. Creating a bunch of different scenarios that end the game, and then making sure the game ends and teleports us back out here. And so we're going to do scenarios like somebody coins out. I'll literally have one of you guys go into your coin state, and that'll end the game. So that might be one of the first ones that we implement, is all the hard ones that are like, the game's breaking, the world's breaking, the person left and went into build mode, which is the equivalent of leaving the world. So we'll go and do a bunch of those to end the game early. And then we'll start adding in like, oh, everybody's been murdered. Oh, everybody's been this and that. So it's just kind of like we're working on a lot of logic right now. Oh, we still didn't get a detective. So it's definitely second time through we're not getting detective. Let me go read the script and see what it is. And then hopefully that's the last thing we fix tonight. So player manager, teleport manager. Let's start with the teleport manager. The teleport manager says respawn sheriff to the sheriff spawn position. So it should just automatically spawn the sheriff. So we're not getting a sheriff, therefore. We can add some checks in here. So let's go and do a debug print. The select player. So it sets sheriff to be get item between 0 and length of players in game. Players in game gets cleared. We'll go and grab name of player that's been assigned to be the sheriff. Now we don't clear out the previous sheriff. So we'll call this current sheriff. And while I am pretty confident that setting the sheriff player variable to 0 to like empty wouldn't fix it, we do want this to be empty if there is no one assigned as the sheriff, so we can tell that. So to be able to do that, we know that the game is receiving an event called ready up, where we clear the players in game. We're also going to create an empty player variable that we never set, so it's called player, and we label it empty player. Press confirm, and so then when this comes through, we will set the sheriff to be an empty player. Set. Oh no, I just figured it out. I think I solved it. We cleared the players in game list, but we never cleared the other lists of murderers and innocent. So we were on both lists, which means we got the last one in the list because the sheriff is teleported first. And so the sheriff would be technically teleported twice. So there was a sheriff being assigned, but the innocent and murderers weren't being cleared like the players in game. So
that's why I was wondering if we were still on the list.
way to be smart. Apologies for not being smart. Okay, so we've got that. We can now delete the debug prints because that's definitely what the problem was. But as you can see, this is how we debug, is we just add lots of information to just check and see like where is things going wrong. And you just kind of keep working your way through the script and making sure that stuff debug prints to ensure that things are happening the way you expect. And if something doesn't happen the way you expect, then you know that that's where the issue is. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hit play and try this out. All right, coming in.
I love how you're doing
progress.
like the what's that run like is it Naruto or whatever?
I'm not doing the Naruto run. I don't know why you're seeing that, but I'm not. Okay, I've been added to the queue.
Your arms are behind you, and you're like.
No, I'm really not though. I don't know why it looked like that. That's so funny. All right, next game, 15 seconds. So we should all get teleported in. Let's try and break it. I'm pretty confident the sheriff is like, we solved it. So let's just try and break this. So I guess I'll stand out here, let you guys go in. Oh, Lake Survivor removed. I love that. Yeah, I'm just gonna. Oh no, I got in. Okay, I'm jumping back in. Yeah, we're gonna try and break this thing. Can't break it because I wrote the script so good. Yeah. Oh yeah, appreciate all the help today. Up too late, smarter than me. Like yay. Oh hey. Calling out all the bugs before I even found them. Crying a little bit for not having listened to you. Okay. Joining now, ending in 3, 2, 1. Okay, game is in progress for another 29 seconds. Then we can stop it. Or then the next queue will start. I think this is kind of cool, especially because the timer is pretty like explanatory of what's happening. So if you join this game and people are in play, you're like, oh, I know what's happening. I want to still build some sort of like viewing area, and I'm not sure how we're going to do that because we don't want people to give away who the murderers are. And so we're all just going to stand in here so that one of us gets assigned as the. So
you'd said that the outer shell was going to be in see-through, right?
Yeah, I wanted to do
could you
that.
Not just build a like a sound, like you know how you can basically set the sound settings so that people can't hear it.
Yeah, but you kind of want to be able to talk to each other while you're up there. So I guess we could put it in whisper, or like really nearby and test it.
Whisper is super obnoxious. But
I don't like whisper because it's so short. But
default should be far enough away that they won't be able to hear, I would think. But...
Okay, and you were assigned the detective up to, so good. Everything's working. Yeah, so something like that. I mean, what we could even do that might be fun is to build like a tree house or something down here.
Ooh.
And then like you climb up in the tree house and you're like your audio's nearby. The issue that we will have and what we saw in the original Murder Manor is that people would come up here and be like, no, the murderer is so and so, they killed me. And like people run up to the walls and do that just to get their voice in.
Yeah.
So there might be a situation where from this point back we set it to nearby, and when you walk up here it turns into whisper mode, and then when you get into the game it's on extended. So we're gonna have to look at voice settings as well, because we want to be able to in the thing hear everything. So when you're outside you can be a part of it by hearing what's happening, so that's important. But I am thinking like maybe wherever nearby can transitions, we need to make sure that they can't talk in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's so true.
So we will want to look at that. It might even be the fact that, or it might be an idea that we just put up a giant wall right here, and you can't cross this wall when the game's in progress.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's no whisper audio. It's just like no crossing. Definitely some options to play with.
Mhm.
Now, in between episodes, I think we're going to keep working on the design. Did we do anything on the back end of this, guys? I haven't looked inside.
Yeah,
I just
mostly
been filling it off.
before
I didn't know if you were
going
one
for
to like run some like practicing, so I was just trying to fill it up. Just
Oh,
right
wow.
style right now.
How did you do this in the amount of time we've been... Oh, my gosh. What
Yeah,
the
I just
heck?
stepped aside. Euphoria was
Like
like going
this
nuts.
probably won't be like the actual layout. I was just trying to
Yeah,
give you
yeah.
something to work with
This is
here.
great, though, because we can run through and like actually do some testing next time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, don't feel like you have to stick to this, but this is fantastic for when we want to do some testing.
I thought it'd be cool if when we come in, there's like those rounded staircases.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm getting stuck. I literally can't even leave
Right?
this spot right here.
And
I'm
you're
like...
getting stuck on the gate.
Oh,
too,
my
so
head
weird.
maybe.
Are we
Is my
gonna
head...
put the bear trap in this one?
The bear trap.
Yeah, from VR chat, there's like a bear trap, and
Oh, my God.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I love this, though,
That's
Euphoria. Great work. So I am thinking it would be nice, Galactic and Euphoria, if next time we come in, probably tomorrow, same time, if you guys are free. No rush
Of
if
course.
not. We have a map that's maybe more of a 3D model, even if it doesn't look as pretty.
Okay.
Just something that we can hopefully have better collisions in. So,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, for
fair.
sure.
otherwise, I guess we'll just make everything non-collidable except for the stairs.
having some rooms too with an entrance and an exit in them are good. Just so
Yeah.
that you can, there's a little more flow.
Yeah, go in and
I
like
like that,
run
yeah.
out.
Sweet. Okay. Let's see. Anything else other than that we're going to work on in the meantime? I don't know. Like maybe some of the sound effects we might work on. We don't have any sort of like game starting or voiceovers or anything, but we definitely need to add in a lot of those little things. When we come back, we'll keep working on the managers here. As you can see, it's a lot of work to get these game loops in progress, but we'll have another episode getting another game loop closer and closer to being finished. Once we do one of these real conditions to end the game, that's pretty much it. There's a lot of like player coins out, leaves the world. Those are kind of like ones that are fixes for bugs, basically, if people leave the game. But it's not like it doesn't usually break the game. You then just have to like wait for the timer to end or something. So really, we're very close to having the game loop completed. So we'll definitely start with those like harder ones first, and then we'll work on getting some of the easier ones, like killing everybody in the world. That's the easier one. So, it's just like when the list is empty, respawn players and reset the game. So cool. All right, guys, we'll see you in the next one. Thank you all for coming out today.
Yay.
And we'll see you tomorrow for another awesome episode. Bye.